final guest on this star-studded afternoon show, is on stage in the South in November, but he's here live right in front of me right now. Welcome along, Rhydian.
Katie, it's a pleasure to be here.
What brings you to the South today?
Well, your good self.
I do not believe you.
It's true.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a married lady now, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I mean, yes, I know that. And many congratulations.
Missed the boat.
And I heard you went to Paris for your honeymoon.
It was lovely.
Which is a beautiful city. No, I'm here because I'm doing my promotion for my new album, which is out on Monday.
Now, I said earlier on that it seems as though since the X Factor, you just have not looked back. You've done loads since the X Factor.
Yes, I've enjoyed my career so far. 7 years ago now that I was on that show, 2007.
It's flown by.
Yeah, it really has. But this is my fifth album. So I up until about 2 years ago, I was doing an album every year. But then I took a break for 2 years to do theatre, and I was in 4 musical theatre shows, including Rocky Horror, We Will Rock You,
War of the
Worlds, and Grease. I came to the Mayflower with We Will Rock You, which was great. You know, it was the only time that I've had a cancellation. We were ready to go on, and the Mayflower, this is obviously unusual for the Mayflower, it was the first time it's happened there, I think. There's a complete power cut, and usually they get the power back on. But they said, we waited for about 40 minutes, and they said, we're going to have to send you all home.
Was it a bank holiday or something like that?
It was.
I seem to remember the story.
It was a really busy night, and yeah, it was. I mean, it's funny because some of the cast were disappointed, but a few of them were like, phew, a night off, you know, because 8 shows a week is quite tiring. It
must be really strange, though, because your adrenaline is obviously naturally rising up to a certain level to be able to go out and deliver a performance that is, I mean, professional theatre is exactly the same every single night, isn't it? The energy, the performance, right. the amount of oomph you give it is the same every night. So how do you then go, this must be quite a quick come down from getting yourself up to that level to go on to be ready to perform?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's even harder for the dancers who've been stretching and warming up and stuff. I mean, in that show, I think I came on not right at the start, so I was okay, but the guys who were going to go on, I heard them warming up and everything, and then they went, lights are off, we're not going on. So yeah, but it's part and parcel of live theatre, you know, and I personally love the fact that theatre is the same every night. I'm quite methodical, and I like structure, and I'll always, I hope anyway, if the casting directors choose me, will want to do theatre the older I get, because more roles become available, and it's my passion. I mean, after music school, I was at musical for 5 years, studying vocal studies and opera. I went to the Royal Academy in London to do a musical theatre designated course with Mary Hammond. But of course, I went into the X Factor instead of doing that course.
But I suppose having all of those places, all of those schools, all of those qualifications on your CV, then when you do go to an audition, you've got that there to back it up, to say, well, look, I went to the same places that these people went to.
Yeah, it does help. And I'm quite big on that, because I don't want to just be seen as, you're on the telly, so you get the role because you're on X Factor. I know a lot of people have roles in the West End because they've been off the telly, but I'd like to think that I've had the training, and I continue to have the training in acting and singing. And, you know, I wouldn't want to take a role away from somebody who's more talented. I think you get the role on merit, and especially now, 6 or 7 years after that, I'd like to think that I am getting chosen.
Yeah.
Because the producers, casting directors see potential or talent, you know. But for the past 10 months, it's all been about recording my album.
And how do you view that time in the studio then? And how does it compare to life on the road, touring with a production, doing the same thing every day with the same people? Does it feel like when prisoners are released and they can just do whatever they want, and you think, I'm going into freefall?
No, to the contrary. It's kind of there's so many variables when you're making an album, and I've had full control over this record. So choosing the songs, choosing the title, what I wear, who's going to take the shots, who's going to record it, which orchestra. We use a brilliant orchestra, Orchestra St John's, on this album. Fantastic London-based orchestra. And I even had to say which collaborations I was going to have on the album, who I was going to sing and duet with. And I love singing duets. So I sent a demo to Bonnie Tyler.
Wow.
Yeah, because I wanted to fuse the classical voice with the rock husk. And she actually rang me and from her Portugal home and said, Rhydian, I love it. I absolutely love it. I want to do it.
I love your Bonnie Tyler impression.
I was like, that's such good news. You know, it could have gone it could have gone either way. I was expecting to say, I'm too busy. But she said yes, and I'm really delighted with the results. She sings a fantastic duet called Miserere on this album, and also I have a duet with Kerry Ellis. I wanted to keep that connection with the West End Broadway, and for me, she's probably the leading lady in the West End at the moment, and does a lot with Brian May, who I've worked with. So we do a duet called Vivo per lei on the album. And then, so I've really enjoyed it, but now it's crunch time, because we're releasing on the 14th, which is Monday. Less than 6 days now. It's exciting, nerve-wracking, but I'm really committed to this album because it's definitely my best. And from Sunday, there's going to be loads of TV adverts and stuff. So, no going back now.
Well, let's have a little listen to the title track, and then you can tell us, after we've had a listen, why you chose this song in particular. It's certainly one that you will recognise. Is the one and only Rhydian, who it's fair to say hasn't even looked back once since the X Factor. You've had, 5 studio albums? Is this number 5 or is this number 6?
No, this is number 5.
This is number 5.
Yeah.
Why did you want to make this kind of album, and at this point? What was the inspiration behind this album?
It felt right to make this album now. My third album, which was called Waves, was a kind of move to the left. It was a synth 80s pop album. And I wanted to do that because it was a clever concept, choosing obscure 80s songs and making them my own. And it had really good feedback, and the original songwriters loved it. But my audience know me mainly as like the classical singer with the blonde hair. And it's my passion, classical crossover singing, and I studied at music school, and I used to look up to people like Catherine Jenkins, Andrea Bocelli, and Bryn Terfel, and even Josh Groban, who has a lovely voice. It's more pop, perhaps, but he delivers in a classical tone. And I thought, I'd like to do that. I'd love to do that. So I heard their recordings of various songs, and I thought, well, I don't want to die. Not that I hope I can die anytime soon, but I don't want to sort of live my career without recording some standards. Like on this album, there's songs like Panis Angelicus that I've never recorded before. Danny Boy, a complete new version of Danny Boy with this amazing arranger called John Lubbock. People
love that song. That's a responsibility, that song, because that means so much to so many people.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a responsibility, and I was a bit reluctant at first because so many people have covered Danny Boy, but this amazing musician, he's a great friend of mine, John Lubbock. He's brother to Jeremy Lubbock, who is the Hollywood arranger. He said, "Rhydian, I've got this amazing..." Well, he didn't say it like that because you'd be bragging, but he said, "I've got an interesting arrangement of Danny Boy I'd love you to hear and then perhaps record." And I went, "Oh, go on then." But I heard it and I was hooked. So we recorded that in London in St. John Smith Square, and I'm really glad we did. So songs like that, which this album, because it's a classical crossover album, because it qualifies for the classical charts, which is important, because it's evaded me the classical number 1. I've had a number 2, but I've never had a number 1. So the big hope on Monday, well, by the end of next week, is that we chart number 1. That would be a huge blessing and success for me. But one of the key songs on this album is the Pearl Fishers duet, which I've never met anybody that doesn't like that song. Beautiful melody, which enticed me into classical music. I reluctantly went to see the opera Bizet's The Pearl Fishers with my mum when I was 14 in our hometown, and heard this melody and fell in love with it. So I've recorded it on this album with myself singing the tenor and the baritone, which is quite unusual, but the voices really blend, and really delighted with that recording. And there are many more. Ave Maria, Nessun Dorma as a bonus track. I thought, why not?
Yeah.
A few of my fans said, "Oh, just sing Nessun Dorma," So I tried that as a little bit of an experiment with my producer, and it worked really well. The lead track of the album is Nights in White Satin. So that makes it the crossover from classical to more contemporary, more sort of pop, rock, folk. And the reason I chose that song is because I toured with Justin Hayward during the War of the Worlds. I was with him on the road for a month, and he spoke in depth about Nights in White Satin. He'd always refer to it as "when I wrote Nights," and I was like, wish I wrote that song, but he's very proud of it, and so he should be. And I thought, okay, that would make a really good classical crossover song. So I've completely redone it. You're probably not going to play it now, but it's on my website on the front page. I've done a full-length video of this song, really pleased with the way it's turned out. And I've also changed. It's bilingual, so it's Italian and English. I mean, there's a thread throughout the album. I'm using a lot of Italian, Spanish guitar, and there are 6 different languages. There is English. I often get asked on Facebook or Twitter, are there any English songs? Well, there are. You just heard one. There's The Blower's Daughter, which is a contemporary song by Damien Rice and Danny Boy, obviously, and then Bonnie Tyler sings in Italian and in English. And that was one of my thrills, because I was in the studio producing the legend that is Bonnie Tyler and teaching her how to pronounce Italian words. So I've had a blast. I'm ready for a holiday at the end of the month.
Well, I was going to say, is there life outside of work for you? How do you kind of rest, relax? Because you must need to take care of yourself in order to be able to deliver in the studio and on stage.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, vocal health is hugely important. And just now, there's not a lot of time to... I always try and fit in vocal sessions throughout the day. So before I caught the train to come and see you, I was doing a little bit whilst I was having my hair done. So my hairdresser who comes to my house, she has to put up with me doing vocalizers and stuff. But I just think, okay, I'm going to be with you, then I'm going to go to my hotel, and then that's when I'll do my other session. But I fit it in whenever I can, and I like to gym as well, so I'll fit in a gym session too. And thank you, by the way, somebody on Twitter who lives in Southampton saw that I was here today, and she said, oh, come and have some cakes with us in Southampton. So thank you very much. I haven't got time, but bless you for the offer. But yeah, it's...
you could squeeze in some cake after the gym, I reckon.
Well, I know who it is. It's a lovely fan called Sam and Harriet, and they bake cakes for me all the time. But yeah, I need to run in about 45 minutes. But yeah, it's hugely busy, and it's not just like the singing side. Obviously, the promotion takes up a lot of time. But my TV advert that comes out in the UK on Sunday, it's all of the different tagging, all the different versions. So you have to do all the voiceovers, you have to pick the right voiceover, you have to pick the graphics that are right, you've got to pick the sound bed, which songs go into that sound bed.
You must get some time to just hang out though, Rhydian. What do you do when you just hang out?
What do I do to hang out?
Just put your pyjamas on?
Yeah.
Eat biscuits?
I can't live without, I can say this, the BBC iPlayer. I love BBC iPlayer. That's all I ever watch because I'm in a hotel room or at home and I'm having to catch up. And I enjoy that. When I'm not working, if that's what you're asking, I love to eat out. I love to go to the theatre and watch various friends in the West End or just new shows. I do like travelling in the sun. I love going on holiday. What else? What
else is there in life?
The thing is, my job is my passion, so I feel like
I understand.
You know what I mean, and you can see that you love what you do as well, and you have to prepare for the next day or whoever's coming on and stuff. I'm sure, and it's the same with me, whatever I'm doing. But I really enjoy what I do.
It's been wonderful to have you here.
Oh.
We are clean out of time.
Oh, no.
I feel like I could talk to you all day. But thank you so much for coming down, especially
pleasure.
to see us. It's great to see you. The wonderful Rhydian is going to be on stage in Bournemouth on the 2nd of November.
I am, yes. I start my tour 17th of October and I'm 2nd of November, Bournemouth. So come see me play. I'd love to meet you.
And the new album's out on Monday.